Jai Bhagavan. For spiritual practice and spiritual evolution, two major things are recommended, and that is Abhyasa and Vairagya, constant practice and renunciation. To cultivate renunciation, one has to cultivate Vivek. Vivek means to discriminate between real and unreal, permanent and impermanent. When one knows this clearly, renunciation comes naturally. Renunciation means non-attachment. In the first book, in Yellow Book, 1976, I wrote the basics of non-attachment. Then I wrote more and more in all the succeeding books, because this topic of non-attachment is confusing. One has to understand from different perspective. So I explain with different perspective, giving different examples. In this book, Personal to Global Transformation, I wrote much more detail than any other books about non-attachment, because you have to know what is non-attachment, what causes attachment, what is the harm in attachment, what are the benefits by being non-attachment, how to cultivate non-attachment. So I'm reading some of it, only mostly one line of each paragraph, and explain a little bit in that direction. Non-attachment is Vairagya. V means freedom and Raga means attachment. Freedom from attachment is Vairagya. Being free from running toward pleasure and running away from pain. And this disturbs the peace, and that is because of attachment. Strong likes and dislikes disturbs our peace. So there is nothing wrong with likes and dislikes, but keep it milder. Use preferences. If this is what I want, if this doesn't happen, I have another choice, third choice. This way, by choosing preference, not being stuck, not being very strict, you learn to flow with life. That is also non-attachment. Process of attachment. Attachment grows in mysterious ways. Most attachments are the result of our search for happiness. We run around in the world in search of things, people or situation, and we think that will make us happy. This running and searching becomes a cause of our misery. It becomes attachment. You search for some happiness, you like it, you become attached to it, you want to repeat it. Material things and habits cannot control us unless we let them. Attachment comes to us because we allow it to. This is what happens. Like people own lots of property, they had nothing to begin with, and then they lose it, they worry about it, but they forget they had nothing to begin with. We come empty-handed and live empty-handed, but during our lifetime we accumulate things, we get attached to friends, people, family members, and then their separation of property, loss, we become miserable. But if we learn to enjoy whatever we have at each moment, we can maintain freedom. Attachments are built with repetition. That is another thing. You do something constantly, you get attached to it. In the beginning, somebody may not like coffee, but after drinking for a while gets addicted to coffee. One hates smoking in the beginning, but by repetition, one gets used to it. And this is not only for habit, but this is how we are attached to our body, our mind, our emotions with constant repetition. We are programmed So we take it for granted. Attachment is also because of association. Suppose if a mother's baby was switched at birth and got someone else's baby, and own baby was taken somewhere else, taken care of by someone else. So mother would be attached to somebody's baby because of association, and she won't worry about her own baby. And the other woman who got the baby, she will be attached to somebody's baby because of association. So you can see likes and dislike. We become associated with our own children, our own people, and we like them. They do something bad, we are attached to it, we forgive them. And those who are not on our side, anything they do wrong, we magnify it. So this is also reverse attachment. Like that you don't like, you magnify it. So we run away from reality. We become attached to our body because of constant association, because we use our body. When we are hungry, we feel aches and pain. So this way we get accustomed and we are hypnotized to believe that I am the body. And that is the attachment. We become attached to our mind and senses. Again, whatever you experience, whatever you see, hear, taste, touch and smell, you become attached to it. Ego is the cause of attachment. We identify ourselves as subject and world is as object. We feel threatened and seek to preserve our ego and identity. And this is why most of the attachments are because of ego. We want to seek our identity. Seek our identity with our possession, our strength, our wealth, with possession of children, with possession with property, with belonging to famous guru, belonging to religion. Just all these are different ways of attachment and because of ego. One should practice aloneness. Aloneness doesn't mean loneliness. Aloneness means connection with higher self. You find greater joy by being connected with yourself, so you lose the attraction for the world. So practicing aloneness means meditation. If you practice aloneness, you find bliss and joy when you are alone or in the crowd. But when you feel lonely, means isolated from your higher self, you feel lonely when you are alone, you feel lonely in the crowds. Nothing can remove that. One can live in the world like a lotus leaf in the water. Water doesn't touch the lilies, or water doesn't touch the lotus leaf because water doesn't touch it because of its fiber. So if you create this layer of detachment, then you live in the world, but the world doesn't get to your inner depth. And then the results of attachment. Desires and attachments are more poisonous than the poison of a cobra. The poison of a cobra kills you once, but the desires kill you over and over again. So desires are fulfilled, you are ready again you are bitten by the snake of desires, and then you repeat the process. So really it kills you over and over again, but we don't learn the lesson. Attachment is outward journey away from the self. It begins as association with sense objects. We want the things are having them, we cultivate the desire for them, and before long we get into the chain reaction. If the desires are fulfilled, more desires will grow up, and then ultimately desires are not fulfilled, we become angry, we lose mental equilibrium, we choose wrong direction, we get lost in the world. The desires are interrupted sooner or later. Okay, this is for now. In next video there will be more detail. Jai Bhagavan.